on September the 1st, at the age of 80. He was the 8th bishop of the Diocese of Rockford. He ordained a lot of priests in our diocese. I am one of those that he ordained about 13 years ago. And he lived a life of quite dedication, study, and serving our diocese. We pray at this Mass that the Lord may grant him eternal repose. And today, on the good news side, Mother Teresa in Rome is going to be, or already it's happening. Rome is ahead of us. It's kind of nice, a saint. And I've been receiving a lot of our texts, both from the United States and across, even from Nigeria, people texting about Mother Teresa, a lot of quotes about Mother Teresa. One of them came from my niece, the one that Mother Teresa said that our world is turning upside down. So many people are in a rush about what they want, about their wealth, about their personal ambition, and the room is left empty without love, even in the family. That was interesting. There was another one that came that says, people have abandoned the Eucharist. We should be the center of our lives. All those from Mother Teresa. I think they play into what the gospel reading is talking about today. The readings are asking us for spiritual detachment. Spiritual detachment. And the way Jesus talks about spiritual detachment can be a little bit intimidating. He says, unless one hates his father and mother, including himself, he cannot be his good disciple. That is something for us to take to heart. Even though sometimes people may wonder, do I have to hate my family in order to be a good disciple of Jesus? I can give you a very simple example that can help us bring it home. Yesterday, at 4 p.m. Mass, there was a gentleman who normally comes to 11 o'clock Mass with his family. And I said to him, what's going on? Where is your family? He said, Father, I have early morning golf tomorrow, being Sunday. So I decided to come tonight. That was a very good thing. And there are many of our parishioners who do that, who, when family members come to town, when there is conflict at work, travels, when there is vacation or any other situation in life, they want to find time for God first. That's what the reading is talking about. It is not literally meaning that we should hate our parent and hate our family members. That's not what it says. But if my family member holds an opinion that is contrary to God's opinion, I've got to go with God's opinion first. It could be your wife. It could be your husband. That is the summary. Jesus presents an occasion for spiritual detachment, a situation where we can get back from all the things of the world that distract us, so that God can be our number one. Sometimes people think they love their family, but to some extent, they idolize their family, their work, money, politics, or whatever it may be. There are people who bury their head in opinions of the world, an opinion of the groups that they love, and they put it ahead of God. That is why Jesus uses those terms. Some people have translated the term in a different way. They say, anyone who loves father or mother more than me cannot be my disciple. They both mean the same thing, meaning we have to learn how to be spiritually detached. Very soon, that is on the 16th to the 19th of this month, we're going to have an opportunity for spiritual detachment. It's going to be a retreat here in our parish, where we're going to have a few days that we can come and sit with the Lord and think about what He wants us to do and how He wants us to order our lives. That's what retreat can do. It boils into what the first reading is talking about, discerning the wisdom from the heart of God so that we can live a better life as Christians. I can share a personal story on stepping back and retreat. What happened to me? This past week, I had two guests who came to visit, Father Ernest and Sister Genevieve. So I took them to Montini. When I went to the class, I said to the children, good morning, boys and girls, especially in the primary section. They all responded, good morning, Father. And then Sister Genevieve said, good morning, boys and girls. everybody was quiet. Some of them have never seen a nun, well-dressed like, in the nun's habit. So I said to them, boys and girls, how would you address her? In one of the classes, I bet it was in the kindergarten, one of them said, is she your mother? Well, maybe if it was my mother, they would know how to address her. But one other child, still in kindergarten, says, I think she is a nun. And I said to her, how did you know? She said, because I have been thinking about being a nun. In kindergarten, that was a good thing. But I said, okay, I'm going to wait until when you graduate from grade school and go to high school, then we can talk whether you still want to be a nun. But it was a good thing. With Father Ernest and Sister, we shared the story with the children about how upbringing was in Africa in comparison to what it is in the United States, and told them how much they are blessed. They really loved that interaction. Eventually, one of the staffs who heard our story said to me, you haven't told us everything. How did you grow up? So I shared my story. In the morning, over there in Africa, when we wake up, children were to sweep and clean and do things and keep the house ready, almost on every single day, to do our chores. But one thing that I did not like to do was to wash dishes. Ask me to do anything, don't ask me to wash dishes. I didn't like those. It wasn't with dishwasher, it wasn't with hands. So everybody in a family of 7 children will eat and heap up the plates for one individual to wash in the morning. Well, eventually, I would push it off and my twin sister would do all of them. But when I went to high school seminary over there was about age maybe 11 or 12, depending on when you started. It was supposed to be 6th grade. The first thing we had to learn was to do retreats. Every term, there were 3 terms in a year. When you got started, the first few days will be for retreats. That prepared us to what would happen in the college seminary, the whole 1-week retreat, every time the school resumed. You were not supposed to talk to anyone. Imagine me for one moment not talking. If you talked, you could be either sent on suspension or punished very severely. What was the idea of not talking? To help us to detach from people and things and to go inward and allow the Lord to redirect your path. That's what retreat does. At the same time, family members were not allowed to visit. I remember when you were dropped off in September, you wouldn't see your parents again until about December. This was about 2 hours away from home. A lot of people I know wouldn't like that. However, what that did was to create a spiritual longing where you miss your family. I miss my sister, and I started thinking about what to do to serve them better. Once I got back home in December, no one asked me to wash dishes. I did it first thing because I did not want my twin sister to do it all alone. I had the time to step back from family, to contemplate about my actions, how they affect them, and had a positive attitude on how I could serve them better. That is what Jesus is talking about this weekend. That when we get obsessed with family and work and all the distractions of the world, it is possible that we will lose our equilibrium, we'll lose our balance as Christians. We need to step back and put God to be our number one. If money becomes a distraction, we need to ask God to give us the grace of poverty where we can share what we have with others. If it is pride, we ask for the grace of humility. If we are excessively attached to honor, we ask for the grace to disdain the honor and the opinions of the world. As Christians, our lives must be the life of mission. God sent each one of us into service in our families and in our communities. Our lives must be agents of God's love in the world. So if we are too attached to anything besides God, if we put anything as number one besides God, those things will stand on the way of our mission and they can become our God. The question then might be, what am I attached to? What is it that I really value? Jesus tells us in this Mass, unless you denounce all your possessions, that is to say, unless you make God your primary purpose, your number one, the foundation of our lives, then we can't be good disciples. With this, he asks us for a spiritual detachment so we can be free to serve God and others.